Fantastic because we recapped the weekend that was, and when Nikki's here, a team leader at Keller Williams, she's got a lot of nitty gritty and insight from a lot of agents across the spectrum, so she can offer that. How are you looking over there, J-Dubs? I got questions already coming in. Do you want to wait? Should we rock and roll? What's the plan, Director?
I think we're good.
All right, my friend, we'll rock and roll when you're ready. Thank you.
Quiet on the set.
Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. A late start for us today, but we're excited to connect with you. Nikki Chambliss in the house, team leader, Keller Williams Alliance, the show presented by KWA. They are just an absolute superstar in real estate in Central Virginia, across the Commonwealth. Keller Williams Alliance. Judah Wickhauer gets us online after the late start. And the late start associated with technical difficulties with nothing to do with anyone here. Just want to get that out into the universe. Why don't we go to the studio camera if we can, my friend, and let's welcome Nikki and Keith to the show. Monday morning, great to see you guys. We're rocking and rolling. Questions already on the ticker. My friends, where would you like to begin?
Well, first of all, what the what, right?
What the what?
What the what? So, on Friday, we had a little bit of a surge of inventory. So, was this, has the tide changed, right? Or is this the normal spring thing, which we haven't seen in a while? Or is it something else and just a little bit of a blip on the radar map, and we're going to kind of go backwards in the beginning of the week? Towards the end of the week. But what the what? What are you thinking?
I think it's kind of that whole coming back to a slightly more normal-ish market. I think that's what we're feeling right now. We've been kind of feeling that happen over the last 6 months. Will it ever go back to normal? What does that even mean, right? So the answer to that is no, but it is returning to something that has a little more seasonality to it while still being completely extra.
So what's the extra?
The extra is the competitiveness, the offers, the escalations, the intensity that comes because we still have low inventory. Even with that tick up, our inventory is low. That's not something that we have a solution for in any near future.
And it's all price points turning quickly. I mean, I'm seeing price points 800, 900, the million price range, which was right before COVID, luxury and very few penetrating that price point. Now, far from luxury. A lot of homes in this area at $1 million. They're selling in a day. I mean, we had open houses. I saw one of your colleagues at a different brokerage had an open house scheduled for the weekend. Cancel the open house, multiple offer scenario. Had to alert everyone that the open house was canceled.
So do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea? I have a very specific opinion on that.
I think it depends, and I think at the end of the day, it's up to the
Of
seller,
course,
right?
of course.
And so I think a lot of
I
agents
agree.
are dealing with that.
Because the people might not want it. They're like, let's just take it and forget having strangers here, right? That's what you're saying?
Well, yes, but it also depends on how you've set your listing up. Are you setting it up so that you're going to show offers until a certain date because the seller has said, hey, by this date and time, we're going to take a look at what we have, and that's that. And if that includes this period where the open house is booked, then you're good. If it doesn't...
Well, usually what they'll say in it, but the seller reserves the right to
yes,
accept offers
because
prior
they do.
to.
Yeah, it's totally right.
It's really interesting. So we were having our extended pre-production meeting, and we were talking about us helping our daughter out in Richmond. So we're in offer number 13.
We should set the stage. You want me to set the stage? Throw it to you?
Of course. I'll take a sip of my coffee.
His daughter lives in Seattle. Her husband, doctor, taking a job in Richmond. They're moving cross-country this summer from Seattle to Richmond. They're looking in the very coveted, very Tony, very prestigious West End of Richmond.
We're outside of that now.
That's where they started.
Yeah.
Now the rubber band, if you may, has expanded past the Tony prestigious West End to a suburb, if you may, of the West End. They are on offer number
13.
13.
Lucky 13.
Offer 12, Nikki, I'm going to throw this to you. Keith, jump in. Offer 12, a Seattle couple with a 3-month-old baby. 2-month, 3-month? 2-month, 3-month-old baby.
3 months. Oh,
3
you're
months.
asking the grandfather. 3 months.
Three months.
However old, the baby's adorable.
3
That
months.
much
3
I know.
months.
Put an offer on.
3 months and 10 days to be exact.
Without touring the house. Sight unseen. Only thing they'd seen was a video tour by Keith. He did it in the rain. No home inspection and appraisal gap coverage of how much?
75.
75 G's. And they lost
lost
they
out.
lost
Well,
it.
we just
Yeah.
did the same thing over this weekend.
Listen to this one. Tell her this
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. So we went ahead and so.
This is crazy what's happening right here.
But I do want to add here, this is not exclusive to Richmond. The numbers just are a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
this is happening here in different markets, and that's kind of the watt, and throw this out to the real estate professionals and folks. Are you experiencing this? I know our side of the house is experienced this across the board.
What did you do on offer 13? Your
Off-
daughter
off-
and your
off of-
son-in-law
off
moving
of
from
thir-
Seattle to Richmond.
Off of third, I've got permission to do this from my client / daughter
Okay.
/ who's becoming a real estate agent. Ooh. 525 was the list. We went,
$525,000 list price.
we were going in at 625, escalating up to 700.
Appraisal gap, no. List cap coverage of
75 grand. So we're confident. So this is where the professionals come out, right? So thank God to Woody Fincham. I mean, I don't know how I would be able to navigate this without him. So the reason we made this offer at 625, which is 100 grand over list, is I did the homework, and there was recent closings last week, similar homes, a couple of blocks over.
that justified
That
it.
justified that number. Reach out to Woody. Hey, Woody, do me a favor. Do a back of the envelope desktop. Yeah, that looks good. So when we presented our offer, I actually presented all the comps with it to support 625. I talked a little bit about what Woody's analysis was on it. So if you guys are in the market and trying to win a deal, reach out to Woody. He does this. It's rather reasonable, the cost on it. And interesting on this one, we had an hour. I was able to negotiate a showing time above 30 minutes.
Nice.
So I spent an hour in the house, so I kind of knew everything was in good shape because of my previous.
So we're in a
life.
market now, Nikki, where we're negotiating showing times.
We've been there before, not too terribly long ago, and we're there again. And it's not easy. And having only 30 minutes to see a house and make that decision, or no time at all because you decide to make an offer sight unseen.
Do we call this sight unseen when the client is in Seattle and the extent of what they see is a video tour of their father in the rain walking through on a video on the phone? Is that sight unseen? I'm just genuine question, genuinely curious.
It is sight unseen because they're not physically there.
That's okay. So
There
that
is
is
a
sight
difference.
unseen. That's what I'm asking, Nick.
I would say they've had a video tour. I would specify the difference personally.
Yeah, because sight unseen technically by definition means
Yeah.
you've never seen the property, right?
Which, see, that wasn't as shocking to me as it was to many because of military background.
Right.
So I've been in a world in which needing to do that for life was not the most abnormal thing.
Sure.
But in those markets, it was very abnormal still. So just with the military life, that happened more often than you would think because you get orders, you've got to move, you need a place for your family to land, and that's what it is. But in this case, this is
So
the whole market.
I'll retract my statement.
Oh, no.
No, but you're right.
I
Like,
apologize. I'm
sight
nitpicking.
No.
I'm with you on that.
But you're right because we
You video tour.
It's not
the
the
view.
same.
I've learned this from you. I've learned this from. We're approaching into our fourth year.
The words matter?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And people are smart enough and they'll pick up on
So
it.
the thing that makes me nervous about it is not, and you're a pro, and they're very fortunate to have Keith Smith leading the charge. It's not necessarily that the fact that they escalate to $700,000 on a $525,000 home. The home inspection waiving makes me the most nervous.
And again,
They have the benefit of you as a Class A contractor.
And so a lot of what happened on this weekend was a result of conversations on the show and conversations of viewer and listeners chiming in. because what we adapted just to really win ourselves, to put in our best position success, I actually own it to come. So we had 2 real estate agents, regardless of the fact that this is our daughter. We had 2 real estate agents. Real estate A, agent A, was showing the home via FaceTime. Me, I brought my ladder with me because remember we had this conversation about the collapse of the ladder?
You brought it?
I brought the ladder with me and I got up into the attic, I got into the crawl space and so forth and so on. And I said, look, I feel good. We can waive the home inspection. Now, I'm in a unique position to do that. Most real estate agents can't.
No.
But I'll tell you, we were looking at homes and agents were coming out with home inspectors as we were going in.
I always find it interesting, and I don't, I wouldn't say who if I knew, and I don't. I always find it baffling when I hear agents talk about how, I don't do crawl spaces, I don't do attics.
What does that mean? Go in there?
Yeah, and I'm like,
home inspectors?
No, agents. Because to me, if I'm touring a home with someone and there's a ladder that I can get down from an attic, heels and all, I'm going to pop myself up in there.
Well, that's also a testament to your coolness there. I mean, I can see you are a jack of all trades. You're willing to do just about anything.
I feel like it's required for being in real estate, though.
It's fair.
Like, you need to be willing to do the things.
Get dirty.
Or pay someone to do it if you're not willing to.
I mean, how difficult it is to stick your head in the crawl space? Not that difficult.
Even when it's terrifying.
You open up the crawl space, and if you see standing water, you don't have to be a Class A general contractor to know that's a problem.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Sorry, was that? No, Captain
Obvious socks on?
No, I do not have my Captain Obvious socks on.
How's the mindset of a young couple with a 2-month-old baby that's 13 offers in and has not had success?
So, it's not them. Everybody that we're working with that's first-time home buyers have the same mentality. They're all in. But it took a bunch of coaching and mentoring to get from the very beginning to the point that we're in now. And they understood. They understand, and our other buyers understand. Look, we can always try to figure out how to rent, but that's in their case, 40 grand out the window. Literally out the window. And by the way, you're chasing an ever-increasing value. Those values are not going backwards.
Do we think that, Nikki?
I think that for sure, yes. But I do think one of the key things that he just said was that it took time and coaching to that education piece. It takes that managing expectations and working with your clients at a level that is required for anyone and everyone to not burn out in this.
And I'll tell you what.
Because this has been going on for how long? The search, the hunt?
8 months, 9 months. But we're helping people for years, right? That is not uncommon. The fact that it was only weeks or days is only a recent phenomenon, right?
Yes.
It's only really that, I could tell you for 30 some odd years of doing this, other than those last couple of years, building relationships and working for clients took years to go through and find something and get them to where they wanted to be. So this whole, hey, get a house in 5 days thing is kind of a recent phenomenon. 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you were helping people for months to go ahead and find something.
Are you seeing the agents on KWA roster having clients over 13 with offers? Are you seeing similar struggles?
So, you know what? I don't know about the numbers of it, but I will say we are definitely hitting that area of the market where we are hitting that again. I don't know the numbers behind that, but yes. And one of the things that we all do is, like Keith just talked about, upping our game every time to make sure that next offer, if this is the house that the clients want, what can he do, what can we all do to best position that person to be able to get the house they want? That's key.
So I do like Monticello a lot because it's easy for me to focus on. It's a similar thing. Right now, I took one out. It shouldn't even be on the market. So there's 9 homes on the market. There's 30 pending. So just go figure, right? There and most of the ones that, the median price point for the ones that are pending is $327. If you take a look at what's active, there's only 3 homes that are under $380. So those homes that are all in single-digit days on market will have multiple offers. So if you got 13 or 23 or 30 or 3, you're still competing, right?
So you're talking, 4,300 homes?
That's 4,300 homes, yeah.
4,300 homes, Lake Monticello.
Lake Monticello.
9 active listings. We're taking one out
We're
that's
taking
long
one
in the tooth.
That shouldn't, yeah.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So there's 9.
9 listings in a 4,300 home, the largest neighborhood in Central Virginia.
And 3 are 380 and below.
Yeah.
So we got 319, 369, and 380. So there's nothing below 300. Nothing.
Is this period of buying and selling real estate in Central Virginia the craziest we have seen yet? Does it surpass the insanity of peak COVID, Nikki? When we had appraisal gap coverage, open houses canceled, sight unseen, virtual tours, video tours, home inspections waived.
So I think I'm going to have to say no.
Okay.
Because here's the thing is now we have learned from that.
So you're ready for
Which puts
it.
us in a much better, and by we, I mean like everybody, buyers,
Ecosystem.
sellers, the whole ecosystem
Yeah.
now has had that learning opportunity. So I don't think this is harder than before. I think before was most definitely harder.
How about different question, phrasing it again for Nikki. Synonymous conditions?
Ish. I mean, that's a closer statement, but I do think the ease of having learned and having made it through this far,
It's huge.
I feel like we've gained a little more resilience. I feel like we've gained an adjustment of perspective of how to view this market. The whole fear of whatever headlines and clickbait that people were hearing, I think most people have a pretty solid understanding that that isn't what's next. And so we're not dealing with that anymore so much. And when we are, it's just easier to either educate or realize now's not the time. So let's continue to educate while also not looking at homes if you're not really ready right now, you know?
Well
so
said.
I think we're in a better place.
What do you think, Keith? Jamie Turner says he's watching Real Talk from Charleston,
Hey.
South Carolina
One
today.
of my
He's the real
favorite
estate
cities.
investor. JT, congratulations and happy birthday to your beautiful bride. I saw you posted that on Facebook. Craziness synonymous with peak COVID when we're in right now. What do you think, Keith Smith?
So I'm going to take the opposite position.
I like it.
figure.
I like it.
Go
Devil's
figure.
advocate. That's
Go
good.
That's what
figure.
we're supposed to do.
Great for a talk show.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. This is a talk show after
That's
all.
good.
Look, I'm going to use my famous yes, maybe no yes, right? The micro markets matter. And go back to the conversations I had with Yvonne and some of our young millennial buyer clients. They're actually using that word, right? Because in Richmond, you go 2 blocks the other way, we could buy a couple of houses. But I'm taking a look at just the difference between Lake Monticello, active and pending, and I just pulled up Charlottesville. So just big numbers. There's 36 homes on the market, single family detached. There's 46 in pending. So that ratio is much tighter, right? It's price point so price point matters, where matters, features matter, condition matters. If you hit those things, I think you're more competitive now than you were in the peak of COVID. The difference, I think, in the peak of COVID was everywhere, right? Buckingham County.
Counter, devil's advocate on the devil's advocate.
Oh, devil's advocate, the devil's advocate.
Here's the devil's advocate on the devil's advocate.
Hold it. I'm going to write that
I
down.
cannot believe I'm saying this, but the values of the home are higher now than peak COVID.
Absolutely.
We have escalated and appreciated in values in some zip codes and neighborhoods 10 to 20, 25%.
Yeah.
Since when was peak COVID insanity? Probably Q1 of last year when interest rates were still in the low 3s, high 2s, was still craziness. Because then summer took a little bit of a lull, Q3, Q4 last year took a little bit of a lull, and now we're basically saying we're Q1 of last year craziness. And Nikki, interestingly, with rates being 2x higher.
Yes.
So another indicator that rates are not the factor here, that people do not buy based on rates, which is what you guys have been saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about that a little bit because I'm going to take a quick look at Lake
So, Nikki,
Monticello real
you
quick.
have
Yes.
higher. I love doing the
Yeah,
show with you guys. You got houses that are more expensive now than this time last year, and you got rates 2x higher than this time last year.
Yes. People still have to buy houses. People still have to move.
It's
The rates
amazing.
were too low for too long based on economics, and now we won't dive too much into that because the reality is I'm not an economist. And yet, there was an adjustment period where people were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And what you're going to do is you're going to adjust, just like anybody does in any market with any shift. And the rates now seem normal because they are actually more normal than they've been for a while. So you adapt, you adjust, you find creative ways to make that work for you, because still, when you compare owning a home versus renting, the math works out over the long game to own the home. If you can get in the home and not be house poor, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure in that.
It's really interesting.
Drew Sersky giving Nikki some props right now on the program. Drew, welcome to the program.
Well, I was watching a presentation that Ned Galloway and I did to the city council about the regional housing partnership. And here's the new reality. The new reality is most folks are not spending 30 to 33% of their of their income on housing. It is north of 50%.
Yes.
I mean,
right?
that is bananas. And that goes back to the statement we've said that is the 40-hour work week a thing of the past, and is now the 40-hour work week, frankly, a 60-hour work week. If people are spending half their income on their homes, they're obviously having to work harder or longer.
So you want to know if you bought a house in the first quarter at Lake Monticello of year to date, from January 1 to today at Lake Monticello last year versus buying a house between January 1 and this, and what your appreciation was in percentage? Would anybody want to take a guess at that number?
Between January 1 of last year and January 1 of this
Quarter,
year?
a little bit over a quarter plus 17 days.
I would say in Charlottesville City?
No, Lake Monticello.
What do you say, 7 to 9%?
You are awfully close.
Oh, man, I want you to feed me the data. Just tell me.
10%.
It's painful.
What's that?
10%.
Yeah.
So if you bought a home, Lake Monticello, January, February last year, between now, at 7%, your home just went up 10%.
So we're talking, to put that in perspective, the average home at Lake Monticello is trading at what? Around 350?
345.
345.
Last year was
I'm learning a lot
312.
from Nikki and Keith on this show. I just am like a sponge absorbing from you guys. So we're talking a what? A $35,000 roughly back of the napkin increase year over year. So if you're buying a house year over year, and this is to Keith's point, you just have to have your daughter and your son-in-law watch the show. If you wait to buy this house, this is what's happened year over year.
They do.
It went up 10% and rates doubled.
Well,
That literally happened.
But
Yes.
but guess what the volume did?
Well, it dropped dramatically.
44%.
Yeah.
So there's 44% less homes being sold in the same period, 2022 versus 2023. But you went up 10%. And this is like the old adage, right? It's Econ 101, right? Supply and demand. As supply drops, unless there's some other factor right now. So the inflation isn't impacting it. Interest rates are not impacting it. We're pretty stable on jobs, right?
Oh, crushing it, especially here.
Yes.
That's not impacting it.
What do you think, Nikki?
No, I think you're 100% right. And I think that one of the things that we can do probably to help our market out is take some of this group of people who would like to change, whether it's the size of the house or the area they live, but trying to figure out how to sell what they have and then buy something else. Maybe instead of selling what you have and buying something else, and I know not everyone can do this, but maybe take a look at keeping that main property that you're living in now as an investment or finding a way to house hack, right? I think that this type of market leans more toward people needing to do that. We've also talked about multi-generational living. Do that as you all work toward buying that house.
14% of the sales last year were multi-generational. That's a huge number.
It is.
Nationwide.
Yes. But that's huge for our nation. And the reality is that's probably going to continue to increase.
Yeah, I don't. This was the conversation I'm having with young folks, or anybody for that matter. With that type of appreciation happening, renting is, you're just chasing this number, and I do not see it slowing down anytime soon. I think you would have to produce so many new units to even get that to even slow down a little bit.
And that would take 18 months if we started today.
Yeah.
If we started today. And the political capital to produce those units just is not there. The concern I have, and it was a statistic that was percolating the news cycle during COVID, was the large percent of buyers who regretted purchasing during COVID. That's going to happen again. If folks are now having to make purchases like this so rushed and without due diligence and outside of their target area, I understand that they're in the game and they're locking in their overhead, and that supersedes feeling sad or disappointed or dispirited when it comes to a purchase. But that percentage of buyers that feel regretful or demoralized of purchasing will happen again.
So that's, excuse me for jumping on, that's when a trusted advisor matters. So back to my daughter, right? This house that we just put an offer in, their answer was, I want to do it sight unseen, back to our conversation. And I said, time out.
Respect.
I said, time out. We are going to the professionals are going to rework our schedules, which is what we did, to make sure that we got to at least see it virtually on that end of it, because we were not going to go down this sight unseen road without a complete understanding and education of it. Not because she was our daughter and my son-in-law. I would do that with anybody.
But why do we have to get to the point of it being a sight unseen?
We just don't have enough,
There's
right?
not inventory.
I mean, the sight unseen, you could go and look at it, which you did.
It depends on how much time is left. It depends on what offers are on the table and when the seller is going to make a decision.
So these
You don't always
offers
know.
are coming in during the coming soon.
Great point.
Thank you.
These are offers that are materializing during coming soon.
no.
Are they materializing as soon as the listing goes active?
soon as it goes
Possibly
up.
any of those, truly, because you can submit one whenever. You can't see the house during coming soon, but you can still submit an offer.
So that's
Because if
pretty
you're
true
willing-
on site.
Yes.
Because if you're willing to go sight unseen with your offer, then you're willing to make an offer in coming soon.
So-
Because you have the courage to make a sight unseen offer, so why wouldn't you do it during coming soon?
So what I've been seeing happening here, and that's what I want to track, and it was interesting. I was thinking about this show this morning. We're going to start seeing uptick on Wednesdays and Thursdays now with inventory.
What does that mean?
So-
That coming on the market then?
You're going to see homes, I think, start coming on the market Wednesdays and Thursdays on that. This is what's happening in Richmond. I think I'm starting to see it happen here. They're going to have an open house.
On Wednesday.
No, on the
Coming soon or
weekend.
active?
On the week, excuse me?
Coming soon or active?
Active.
Okay.
Active.
Okay.
As far as the public is concerned, it'll be
Nice.
active Wednesday and Thursday, packing in the open house to get enough traffic in there, seeing like we're doing right now, having offers reviewed 12 o'clock on Monday. So if we talk long enough, at some point I'll know if we're going to win this.
Truly, truly.
Win this offer or not.
That's bananas, man.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
But
bananas.
to Nikki's point, though, on this sight unseen, I missed explaining that this particular house was doing these offers today, and we had to rearrange our weekend to make sure that we got in there to go and see that for them.
Yeah.
That is absolutely bananas. And I have a lot of, go ahead, Nikki.
I want to go back to the buyer remorse situation because I will be very interested to see how many of those buyers who bought during the COVID peak might actually not feel that same remorse seeing the market we're moving into because they realize,
Fair point.
actually, this was not so bad. I actually had what
Sit on
felt-
stacks of paper.
Right? You know what? This is
That's what you're
actually
saying,
a
right?
really good deal.
Yeah.
Well, they've got it at a different interest rate, and while it did seem extra because it was, and it still is, and that's not easy. And having that advisor, that trusted advisor who's going to help you through that doesn't mean that you won't have buyer's remorse at all, but it does help a lot. And if we can figure out how to frame that better for more people, hopefully that will continue to lessen.
And is the buyer's remorse the first place I bought? Buyer's remorse. It's condo at the Villas. I wanted something with the back fence and a place for my dog could run, and I was disappointed I didn't have that for my dog and for myself. Couldn't afford it.
Yep.
Isn't buyer's remorse part of the process?
Yes.
Especially at the first time purchase?
In this kind of
At the
market,
first time purchase?
Where your first time purchaser really wants their forever home sometimes, and that doesn't actually exist on the market.
There you go. At the
Then-
price point they can afford.
Yes. So then I think we reframe, okay, is that really buyer's remorse?
Or paying your dues.
Or have you shifted to paying your dues
Yeah.
or just shifting to realize, hey, you know what, to get where I want to go, I'm going to need to have some stepping stones to that point.
Well said. Nikki on point. What do you think?
So your buyer's remorse, and I'm trying to thumb through 170 pages of the 2023 home buyers seller and
Yeah.
report, right? When you dig into that a little bit more, you'll see some of the buyer remorse is about moving to out in the country during COVID. And now there's a huge percentage of that going, oh, I made a mistake. I want to get back into more of an urban thing because they thought this whole COVID work from remotely was going to last, and now businesses are saying, no, you need to come back in the office, which we were talking about in the middle of that
We
was
said that.
going to
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it happened on that end of it. So there's a huge percentage of that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's all about hiring the right trusted advisor. Pull down Real Talk with Keith Smith and Partners. There's a list of them in that can help you with this on the end of it. But having somebody who's going to have an honest conversation with you, not just how can I say this without getting myself in too much trouble here? Not having somebody who just wants to push paper across the table. Actually, that is a partner through it. It really matters where somebody might say, time out, you really shouldn't be doing this. We need to slow it down. And that was the conversation we had with our daughter. No, we're not doing a sight unseen. We will make this work. And we did a virtual showing.
Christopher Friedman, watching the program in Short Pump. This comment comes in from Christopher. Imagine when the rates get lower and the buying power expands. It's going to worsen this environment. I think he said environment.
Well, I actually...
He's 100% right.
Well, I actually can speak to that. So my son-in-law's a doctor. He's getting a doctor loan. And because we've done a lot of business with this particular bank, they offered him a point off.
So he's at five flat? Five even? No. Oh, 5.5? Okay.
Whatever it is down there. And his buying power jumped up considerably, so we can now get into the 700,000. And you're spot on. As soon as that interest rate drops a little bit, prices are not going to decrease, but people's ability to buy or purchase is going to go up. I'd love to hear Nikki's read on this. I think whatever we're doing right now is only going to get worse once interest rates drop lower.
No, I agree. That's the only way that can go, and we're going to see a resurgence of the same challenging thing we've already seen before. The upside would be that we've been there, we've done that, and we know how to handle it. And that's where you really just need to connect with professionals who are trusted advisors who can help manage that situation for you. It really does matter.
What are the people you're talking to saying the rates are going to go? Scott's predicted on this show 4s by the end of the year. Scott Morris. I mean, that's bananas.
He's one of the go-to people that I hear talk as a general rule.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just
Scott knows what's up.
That's a hard one to know, or to even know what I would hope for, because no matter what angle you approach it, it's a really challenging market.
Yep.
So the idea that, hey, they have more buying power, that's great, but then also there's going to be more competition, which rules out the same people that drop in rate would help.
And And we're not even at full market like employee status here. We still got the Kimpton Hotel at the Darden is just opening now. If you haven't had a chance to try the Kimpton Hotel, they got 2 restaurants over there, and they got a conference center and a fantastic hotel. We're talking with their people. They got another hotel and hospitality center opening that Russ Kronberg is leading at the UVA Foundation in Boar's Head. Data Science School about to open, Paul Manning School about to open. They straight up said thousands of people, new jobs are going to come from the Paul Manning Institute.
And where are they going to come from?
Thousands outside the market. All coming outside.
Where are they going to live?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. How does this market handle an influx? Let's be conservative. How does this market handle an influx of 3,000 additional families?
I mean,
does anyone want to handle that?
Is UVA going to offer a program to help find homes for the people they're hiring?
Well,
because if not, what are they going to do?
But a lot of these, that's a great question. That's a great question.
A lot of employers that do bring people in have some sort of program.
And a lot of these are in private sector, not just public with UVA, but she makes a great point there. Keith, thoughts?
So UVA is not going to do that, but they're in the middle of this 1,500 unit affordable housing, their rental end of it. It's interesting, as you were talking, Jerry, reminds me of the conversation I had with the city councilors for the Regional Housing Partnership and Brian Pinkston, thank you, said something very clearly to me. He goes, look, to the point that we're chasing this up, building enough units is going to take so much. It's not going to make a difference. People want to be here. We got new jobs coming. How we're going to go ahead and do this? As you well know, I chair a land trust, which I'm excited about, and everybody's talking about, and we're making some headways in it. But frankly, we need tens of millions of dollars to try to make some sort of impact on it. But yeah, I spend a lot of time volunteer helping people answer that question. On the other hand, what I do for a living, I'm not concerned about.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You guys are in the catbird seat.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. But it bothers me. It'll keep me up at night, literally, how to help young folks, or anybody for that matter, to buy a home in this market. It keeps me up at night. How do we do this? How do we navigate this? What tool do we pull out of the toolbox? What magic crystal ball conversation we need to have? And I've learned one thing in 35 years of doing this. Every week it's something different. You constantly got to adapt and overcome.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Nikki?
I think that it comes back to one of the conversations we've had on this show regularly is reevaluating, okay, from the whether you're looking to sell your home and need to buy somewhere else, or whether you're that first-time home buyer entering the market, you really need to take a look at where you want to be, whether you're looking at the 10, 15, 20, 25-year zoom lens or not, and you've got to say, okay, what steps in between can I take to get there? Right? You've got a lot of time between now and then, whether it feels that way or not. If we're talking about the younger couples, individuals, groups, because a lot of times it's a group of friends, right? And it's not necessarily your traditional family unit. We're looking now at your chosen family unit because that's what it takes to be able to be in a home.
Tell the viewers and listeners about that. What are you seeing? You're seeing friends buying.
Well, absolutely. I mean, let's just use my own household, the 3 21-year-olds that I have, that I keep in my basement. They're working on, okay, how do we do this and how do we do it together? Because it's going to take all three of them to be able to collaborate and pool funds to be able to take those next steps. And the next step is probably going to be to rent something. And then they're working toward, okay, once that stability, they have that, then it's okay, then we're going to save up. And what does that look like? And will you help us through the process? Oh, and by the way, hey, can you sign me up for that real estate school so I can get my license because I want to know more about it? And all of those things are moving forward, and they take time. And sometimes it's a little exhausting to look at your current situation and go, oh my gosh, that's kind of hard. It is. And keeping in focus where you want to be, what you want your life to look like, while also enjoying your journey on the way there.
Well said. Very well said.
I've said this on the show a couple of times, and I'm reading this generational report as you were chatting, and I was looking at the reasons why people are moving, and as we've been talking about this, it's retirements, it's life changes,
yes.
But it's very interesting that baby boomers last year made up 39% of the home buyers. This year, they're down to 29. So, baby boomers, I apologize. Baby boomers are up 29% this year. I got it backwards. My dyslexia kicked in on that end of it. So what's happening here is we have a generational competition. And I think it was Bill, a great viewer of our show. I can't remember.
McChesney?
Thank you. Sent me a video of a realtor having two conversations about a buyer as a millennial and a buyer as a boomer. But at the end of the day, as you're looking at what they want, they all want the same stuff.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the couple of deals we lost in Richmond were to boomers.
Well, you guys have the sacks of money from selling the house.
Is Yona telling you something I don't know?
You guys have the sacks of money. Because you guys have been in the game and you got real estate
don't
to
buy
sell.
that new bike. We don't have any money.
Not
So,
necessarily
something
that,
I don't
even
know.
though a lot of what they don't have as much of are the student loans, or there
Credit card
are
debt.
some that do, but it's for their kids. So, but it's usually not as much as the millennials group. If we're looking at them as
it's
generational
interesting.
group.
I don't have the data to go look
Yeah.
at that, but during the time of great unpleasantness, a lot of people my age went out and got degrees. Like, they went to school, they got master's degrees, they continued their education.
Yes.
So there is a bunch of folks our age that maybe have some student loan debt. By and far, it's on
much
the
less,
on the younger
Just
end of it. And I
yeah.
believe it's only a 50, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. I think if you have a student loan, they only count for 50% of it, but that's a Scott question.
Yeah, and that can vary for sure, depending on the program or the loan program you're using. Yeah.
This is a good one here from Twitter. Jerry, for the panel, We're a move-up buyer, a family that has a lot of equity in our home, and we're looking to get to the west side of town because of schools. We have to sell our home first before we can buy. We have the equity to do it. The problem is we don't have the time to do it because these houses that we like are going under contract right away. Can you ask the panel how a move-up buyer that needs to sell their house can compete in a market like this? It's a great question.
Well, so here's the deal. I don't have enough information to know if this is even a good question to ask, but my question is always going to be when someone says have to, I'm going to ask, do you really? Like, is there another option? Do you have a lender who is working on looking at this from all angles where you could evaluate if you did want to keep it as an investment property? Because there are a lot of options that people don't realize. And maybe the answer is, oh my God, no, I don't. And that's okay. But anytime have to is the case, I'm going to say, hey, what solutions have not been looked at yet?
Well said.
So I'm going to make an assumption
Okay.
No.
that the seller is in a pretty hot neighborhood right now. So let's assume.
You're talking to the family that's looking to move to the west?
I love case studies, so
Okay.
let's pick
Okay.
apart
Yeah.
the case study
Okay.
here. So let's assume, for the sake of a talk show in this conversation, that the market where the seller's trying to sell is at one of these multiple offer markets, right? Let's assume that's the case. So what they can do is they can go ahead and put their house on the market, because the home that we're helping our kids with in Richmond, they're going to let the seller stay in there for 2 months because they need to go find something else. So what they're doing is put their house on the market, sell it, get your cash, get your capital, do a 60-day, depending on how the buyer is structured, right? So if the buyer's using cash, you can stay in the home as long as you can negotiate. If it's a loan, it's a maximum of 60 days. This now gives you 60 days to go out and find something. You're going to have a pocket full of cash, right? Whatever that equity is, and that puts you in a great position to compete or negotiate on the buy. That's play number one. Play number two is, get your cash out and rent, but John, you're wasting cash on the rent end of it. It happens. We do it quite a bit. But if it was me, I would want to sit down and take a look at where you're at, what kind of equity you have, how quickly we can sell it, how much cash we can put aside on the net reserve, and then concurrently start looking at something new and make a seamless transaction. We're doing half a dozen of those transactions like that right now, one of them being my daughter.
And if you're
That's the
doing
solution to
that
it.
first option, you do need a backup plan, because if you don't
Yeah.
find that next place in that time frame, you might need to have some sort of a short-term stay lined up while you figure that out.
How common is this situation? Common?
Oh, I think so.
I got
yeah.
6 of them going on
Yeah,
right now.
Absolutely.
It is that this is the outside of the box thinking.
Yes.
This is the professionalism you got to bring to the table to help that seller make a decision to move forward. And you have to sit at the kitchen table with your net proceed sheets. Say, okay,
Yes.
guys, this is how much you're going to make at the end of it, right? Okay, let's take that and use it as a tool to go out and buy, but we're going to need that cash in hand first. Because to the viewer's point, when I go ahead and put an offer on Nikki's house, and I go, oh, by the way, I got to sell a house, Nikki's going to go, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're going to move
Yeah.
on.
Don't surprise me with things. It's not going to make your offer strong.
So
Thank you for the case study.
That's a great question
Yeah.
right there. So you're seeing the domino deal, usually the back end domino of selling the existing house. That's now happening on the front end.
It's happening on the front end, right? But it
There you
depends
go.
on the where, guys, right?
Yes.
We're assuming we're moving from one. Oh boy, Yvonne's FaceTiming me. I must be in trouble.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, hold on a second. I got to tell her. Hold on. I'm on the show, honey. So,
She wants to know if you've heard back on that, right?
well, she
Okay.
knows 12 o'clock, so we're not
Okay.
there yet. But if we're moving from a hot market to a hot market, that's one way to go ahead and do it.
And I feel like at some point, these need to not be considered out of the box thinking. This needs to just be considered
The norm.
expected conversation.
This is what you got to
And
do.
if it's not, then you might need to have conversations with different people.
Absolutely. This comment's come in, and it's more of a perspective that's being shared. Jerry, as you know, I'm a mother of 4, and now my kids are buying age for houses. This is a time to purchase that we never thought we would see. I worry about them and their futures often. Thank you for the show. I really enjoy what you guys are doing.
I can appreciate that perspective
Yeah, you're a
so
mom,
much. Oh
right?
my gosh, I am a mom, and it is hard. And I'm with you, honestly. There are times where I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what to tell y'all to do. First of all, it's not my job to tell you, and it is my job to guide and help. And the reality is that in any hard time in histories throughout the years, for thousands of years, people have been able to figure it out and make it through.
Yeah.
And the reality is tough times, they create resilient people. And I think we're going to see a return of some resiliency. And that's not a bad thing. I just think that as long as we do it well and we come from that perspective of, you know what, it is tough. And I think if we all seek first to understand and we give each other a lot of grace, whether that's in a real estate transaction or in the parking lot of a grocery store, you know, like just having a little more grace around how you're thinking and perceiving and viewing things is, is needed.
I like it. Nikki Chambliss.
Just be kind, man.
Be kind.
It's not that.
And sometimes it gets stressful.
Sure.
That's what, like parking lots, let me tell you, that's a great opportunity for some road rage. But nobody was set out at the beginning of their day to mess with you in the parking lot.
So-
They didn't. It just happened.
Unless you're in New York and they go out to mess with you.
Okay,
But
you know
anyway,
what? That's different. Okay.
That's different.
That's
Perspective
different.
here is
That's
Central
different.
Virginia.
You would be very offensive.
The Market Street
Okay.
parking garage, when it's
You know
all
what?
said and done, is a very friendly place. It's a very friendly place, the Market Street.
I got a hug from my from the attendant
She
there.
watches the show. She's fantastic.
Nice.
So it's funny. In the beginning of the show, I wrote these two words down: mental health.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
and it's not just on the buyer and the seller side. It's on our side too. We are, this is a tremendous amount of pressure and work on it to go ahead and do that. And one of the things my daughter was saying to me, she said, well, this is normal. If I get into business, am I expecting to work 7 days a week? And I said, yes. And Emily Funk is our client care coordination, a wonderful realtor on her own. We're working a couple transactions, and it was funny. She called me yesterday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning as I was cooking breakfast links on the grill to help her out with something. Then she called me at 7 o'clock as I was grilling the steak, and I said, look, you need to stop doing this, right? Either come
Well, if you
over for
stop
breakfast or
grilling,
dinner.
people would stop calling you,
I'm
right?
sorry?
Is that what if you stop grilling, then you won't get the calls?
Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Look how
Now I'm
smart
getting
you
hungry.
are. Never thought about that. I just said, come on over for breakfast and lunch.
She's gonna be a
I'm gonna start
realtor.
calling you to see if
She
you're
is,
grilling
but she's
out.
doing a great job.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
What a great experience to cut your chops or get, whatever the saying is
Yeah.
in real estate. 13 deals for your personal residence as you're moving from Seattle to California and making offers on houses that you're not seeing. I mean, that's the start of a real estate career.
Yeah.
A conversation.
You're learning a lot. Well, beginning in a market that's hard
Right.
really sets you up for success.
There it is.
As long as you're building a solid foundation.
There it is.
So I'm gonna take a little executive producer dad pride at the
Nice.
moment. So she's studying for a real estate exam.
Yep.
Okay.
And she passed a module of it. All those years of listening to you doing project and development finally paid off. And she got 100% on it.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes. Way to
Takes
go.
after her mother. Congratulations.
Oh, ouch. You know what?
There's no ouch in that. That is 100% correct.
Okay, never mind. No
I
ouch.
kid because
Sorry,
I care.
was just
Yeah,
no digs had happened toward Keith yet today. It was time.
If she wants to learn how to blah, blah, blah talk, I'm the right guy.
Got it.
Anything
Good
other
point,
than
good
that,
point.
go talk to your mother.
How about a message for the viewers and listeners, Nikki, as they kind of head into the second quarter? Hopefully more inventories out there, but undoubtedly it's still going to be quite competitive.
You know what? I think I'm going to land on that whole mental health aspect. Take some deep breaths, have intelligent conversations, find the people that are talking about the things that are going to matter most to you, and have conversations with them. That's really where that's at. Because if not, you guys are it's just hot air floating around, taking up space, right? Yeah.
So thank you. You can do this, right? You can sell, you can buy,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can do this. We're doing this every day. But it's going to take a conversation. It's going to take a sit down. This is not a text conversation. You've got to sit down and really dig into the whys that we're trying to do this and help the buyer and the seller get across the table. We just outlined one right now, right? If you have enough equity, maybe we can sell it. We can stay in the home for a little bit of time and give us in a strong position to buy. That may not fit everybody's need, but in this particular case, I think it would on that end of it. But sit down with those trusted advisors, have those tough conversations, and we'll get through this together. We will.
Can I piggyback on that?
Absolutely.
So
Please.
I think one of the things, the times of calling a realtor last minute to go see a house, that's not the way to do it.
Oh, good
Like
point.
truly, if you are looking to buy, you should be sitting down, having multiple conversations before you guys go step into a house at all. Otherwise, it's wasting your own time because you're not prepared enough to go out and go through this process, no matter how educated you are on it. And again, we've talked so much about how wonderfully educated consumers are, and I'm grateful for it. I think it's a value add that is incredible and was much needed. But do have that front end work, because it's going to make the process so much simpler and much less stressful. And that's really a benefit to everyone involved.
Well said. Very well said.
Shout out to Judah,
Yes.
AKA God,
Wow.
with little G. He's done a great job to get us live, and even though
Hell
it
of a
was,
nickname right there. No
I know,
pressure with
wow.
that nickname.
Don't fall off that pedestal.
Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith, guys, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10:15 on this network here, realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Keller Williams Alliance, that's just a brand you can trust. We spotlight folks from KWA all the time on this network, and it's an opportunity for you to see what this team is all about. And it's honesty, it's hard work, and it's just doing well by people, because it's about the long game here. The I Love Seabold Show, 57 minutes away. Thank you kindly for joining us. Take care.
Well, that was great.
Yes.
You know,
It's fun.
it is. It always is. And also, it's